charity auction announcement in the previous timeline. I'd woken up excited, only to find Vivian in my room with a newspaper. "Oh, Lily," she'd said with false sympathy. "I'm so sorry you have to see this." The society page had featured a small article about the contest, but somehow it painted my charity work in the worst possible light. "Miss Lily appears to be using the orphanage for publicity," it had read. "A calculated move to appear caring while actually exploiting vulnerable children for personal gain." I'd been devastated, especially when other contestants began whispering about it. Only later did I realize Vivian must have fed that story to the press herself. The writing style was too similar to her own cruel observations. "Lily?" Alexander's voice brought me back to the present. "You looked lost in thought." "Just remembering something unpleasant. But it doesn't matter now." The intelligence test on day 18 brought back sharp memories of humiliation and betrayal. This time, I submitted my exam directly to Lord Huntington himself, with Alexander as witness. The memory of my first timeline's disaster was still fresh and painful. I'd studied for weeks, confident in my knowledge. When the results were announced, Lord Huntington had held up papers covered in wrong answers, my name clearly written at the top. "I'm afraid Lily's scores were disappointing," he'd said, while I stood there in shock. "It seems she lacks the intellectual capacity we require." The humiliation had been crushing, especially when Vivian had whispered loud enough for others to hear. "Don't feel bad, sister dear. Not everyone can be naturally gifted like some people." But that night, I'd been too upset to sleep. I'd wandered the halls and overheard Vivian on the phone in the library. Yes, the handwriting practice paid off. Her signature was surprisingly easy to forge. No, she'll never think to check. She's too crushed to fight back now. I'd confronted her the next morning, showing her my real exam papers that I'd kept copies of. She'd laughed in my face. "Who's going to believe you, Lily? Everyone already thinks you're a failure. Besides," her smile had turned vicious, "I have so many other ways to destroy you if you try to expose me." And she had. The sabotage only escalated from there. "Excellent work, Miss Lily," Lord Huntington announced the next day. "Your scores were among the highest we've ever recorded." Vivian's face was a mask of barely controlled fury as polite applause filled the room. This time she couldn't steal my achievement. "Congratulations, sister," she said through clenched teeth after the announcement. "I'm so proud." "Thank you, Vivian. Your support means everything to me." In my previous life, this was when she'd cornered me with her most devastating attack. She'd waited until I was at my lowest point, crushed by the exam humiliation and feeling utterly defeated. "You know, Lily," she'd said, finding me crying in the garden, "I've been thinking about why you really volunteer at that orphanage." "What do you mean?" "It's because you see yourself in those broken children, isn't it? The abandoned ones, the damaged ones. You think if you save them, somehow it'll make up for being such a disappointment yourself." Her words had cut deep because part of me had wondered the same thing. "But here's what's really pathetic," she'd continued. "You actually think someone like